Molly, and here we are at Barnes & Noble recording for our case studies today. And my case study is Third Space When Learning Matters. This case study compares 10 schools in economically disadvantaged communities. As part of their school reform, they integrated the arts into their curriculum. A key finding was when teachers partnered with arts integration specialists, they saw positive effects of teacher instructional practice. The school community strengthened and students were more motivated and engaged. Safe spaces were provided for students to take risks and explore solutions and ideas. Students developed an ownership of the creative process, and students became more connected to their own home cultures and environments. Finally, researchers found that students developed an ownership of their learning, and they used a lot of higher order thinking skills throughout the curriculum and throughout their day because of the study. The study came to conclude that arts can improve schools that serve economically disadvantaged students, and the schools became more student-centered, and they supported positive academic, social, and personal development for students.
Okay, Molly, thanks for the summary. Can you tell me a little bit about what creative thinking skills were addressed in this study?
Creative thinking skills were addressed across the curriculum. Students became more flexible in their thinking, which allowed them for more creativity. They used a lot of higher order thinking in comparing and contrasting different art across different genres and different curriculum.
Okay, and how did teachers encourage or present creative expression in this case study?
Teachers increased their engagement in teaching art and were more satisfied in the teaching profession. They did the use of art specialists that they partnered with to encourage teachers to become more creative and create new ways in which to teach art within the school day.
All right, and can you give any specific examples of creative expression in your study?
Sure. In my study, they didn't have specific examples, but from the school I taught at, some things we did were we used an artist in residence, and we had a Native American man come in and teach the classrooms how to do Native American dancing, and each of the 3 classrooms performed a different tribal dance in front of the whole school. We also created 3D displays of different Native American tribes.
Okay. And then what was the level of student engagement in your study?
In my study, student engagement increased both from the personal experience, from my own personal experience, but also in this study through art specialists and resident artists. It increased not only student involvement, but parent and community became more involved and wanted to be a part of the school community.
Awesome. All right, finally, how could you see yourself using this study in your own teaching?
In my own teaching, I would love to use the arts more. I think in the school I'm at now, we don't do enough of the arts. And from the study that I looked at on the Kennedy website, I researched animal habitats in 3rd grade. We do a huge animal research project, and I would love to create 3D animal habitats and use some of the things that were in the Kennedy Center lesson in my curriculum next year for the animal research project.
All right, thank you for sharing, Molly.
Thanks, Kathy.
Hi, this is Kathy Glick, and the study I looked at was drama activities as ideational resources for primary grade children in an urban science classroom. The participants came from 6 classrooms from 5 different Midwestern schools. They concentrated on 1st grade, who was doing a food web in the forest studies. 3rd grade was studying matter. It was a diverse population with low socioeconomic students. And here the students needed to use their bodies as tools to demonstrate their understanding of scientific concepts and their relationships. They used both verbal and nonverbal components. They applied their imagined thoughts and feelings to their imagery, and multiple perspectives were incorporated because they were both audience, actors, and directors for plays. For matter, the students moved like gases, liquids, or solids. And for the food web, the students improvised a play with an interactive ecosystem. Researchers videotaped and did observational data collection along with teacher interviews when they were finished. Their conclusion was that students developed a deeper understanding of the science concepts, were personally connected, and engaged creatively in the process. However, there was no pre or post assessments done.
So Kathy, how were critically thinking skills addressed in your case study?
There was a lot of collaboration with the students. They also had to do a lot of problem and solution through renegotiating of their ideas on how they were going to present their topic. And then there was classifying and sorting of different parts of their studies.
Great. How did teachers encourage or present creative expression in your case study?
It wasn't really well defined within the study summary. However, it did say that the teachers offered encouragement and space for the students to work in.
Beautiful. What are some specific examples of creative expression in your study?
Well, I'm going to talk about the third graders. Here, the third graders, when they were at GAS, needed to move their bodies in a quicker format, in a larger space, trying, as they bounced off each other, they went to different places, versus as the liquids, they had to come together and move as a group, and as solids, they had to create an object together.
Very interesting.
So each student was a molecule. So they had to act as if they were a molecule. I'd say it was very process orientated.
Very active. Wonderful. Describe the level of student engagement in your study.
It was reported that the students were very actively engaged into the study.
Wonderful. And how can you see yourself using this example in your teaching?
As I looked at this, my immediate thought went to the rock unit we're currently doing, and I could see my students acting out the formation of the types of rocks. So we could create some, for the tough rocks, get some confetti or something and have it represent the ash, and then they have to collect it to make a tough rock. Or sedimentary rocks where they could create the layering of rocks, maybe even just by students going side by side on the floors together. So I could see them acting out how all these various types of rocks are formed.
Great job.
All right, Molly, what are some of the similarities that you saw between our two studies?
From our two studies, some of the similarities that we saw were that the socioeconomics were the same from both of our studies. Multiple schools were used in both of our studies with multiple classrooms, and that there was various different ways of collecting data from observations, interviews, videotaping, and in either study there was no mention of a pre or post assessment.
Terrific, thank you.
Kathy, what did you see as some of the differences in our case studies?
In the study that I was looking at, they were focused on just two specific units of study. So they were science units with a very specific focus, versus your study was integrated across all K-12 units all year round. The goals were different in both of our studies. Your study was looking specifically at how art integration can help reform schools, versus mine was looking at how art integration can help students understand a science concept. Mine was limited to two specific grade levels, and again, yours was K-12 study.
Great, thank you.